Okay, good morning, good afternoon. So let me begin by sharing a small horror story. Okay, so let me begin by sharing with you all a small horror story. Well, this horror story does not have zombies and ghosts and booth, but all the same, it is a real horror story for the person involved, that is my friend, Dr. Gopal Rao. My friend Dr. Gopal Rao is a very eminent cardiologist, well known in the field of medicine. And he was one day invited to a social function, a theme gathering of family and friends. And the theme was health and fitness. So it was in an open lawn. Many people had come. Dr. Rao was just one of the people invited, the guests. According to the theme, they had called certain fitness instructors, certain dietitians, and all to give a talk. And all of a sudden, when people finished talking, the host announced on the mic, I now call upon my friend Dr. Gopal Rao to say a few words on what to do in an emergency regarding your heart. And everybody started clapping. Dr. Gopal Rao, my friend, was frozen on his seat. This was absolutely unexpected of him. He was just there as a guest. And the host comes to him, takes him by the hand, and leads him to the podium and hands over the mic to him. Again, Dr. Rao is flabbergasted, doesn't know what to do. And the host says, yes, Dr. Rao, everybody is waiting to hear from you. People start clapping. Dr. Rao stands there frozen. People start clapping all the more, thinking that he's just about to speak and he's being modest. Dr. Gopal Rao just put his head down and walked out of the party. My dear friends, it is not that Dr. Rao did not know the premise on which he was supposed to talk. He was a cardiologist. He is an eminent cardiologist, well known in the field. And he was just asked to speak on something as simple as what does a normal person do in case of an heart emergency, in case of a stroke, in case of a heart attack, whatever. Just couldn't speak, was frozen, was dumbstruck, was ashamed, and just walked out of the party. Friends, for Dr. Rao, this is nothing less than a horror story. And I'm sure some of you in the audience will be able to identify with Dr. Rao's tragedy. Yes, friends, we are going to speak today about the fear of public speaking. My proper topic is effective delivery of talks, but I lay down the premise. The fear of public speaking, for your kind information, it is known as glossophobia, fear of public speaking. How many of us are, nervous to speak in front of public or scared to speak in front of public? Most of us, right? Or at least some of us, or at various stages, some of us are. Some of us are beginners, some of us are teachers. But yet, when we are asked to speak in front of a new audience, an unknown audience, not our usual students, sometimes we just are at a loss of words. So are you one of the ones who are scared of public speaking? And if yes, I have some news for you. See, every year there are some lists published by various forums. For example, the list of the richest men in the world, etc. Similarly, you have a list of fears which is published. Now, I know, it is not possible for us to interact on this forum, but at your own, most of my questions to you will be rhetorical questions. So are you able to guess which is the topmost fear in this list? Fear of death, right? Yeah, most of us, some say fear of darkness, fear of heights, fear of spiders. On and on. Most of the time, continuously for years together, in this list of fears, the fear which is at the top is the fear of public speaking. It is above the fear of death. It is above the fear of darkness, fear of heights, fear of spiders. At the top is the fear of public speaking. You know, when 9/11 attack in USA happened, one of the fears also which comes somewhere 8, 9, 10 is the fear of flying. So when the 9/11 attack happened, the fear of flying took over all the fears and came to the top of the list except one. It took over the fear of death, it took over the fear of darkness, the fear of spiders, everything. Only it could not overtake the fear of public speaking. Public speaking was the only one which remained at the top even after the 9/11 attack, and fear of flying could not cross that. So if this is such a great fear, is it possible to overcome this fear? Is it possible for us to train ourselves to become effective and good public speakers? So we come to the much debated question. Yeah, many people say, are good speakers born or are they made? Is it something which can be coached, which can be taught just like any other skill? So just dwell on this question, whether you think whether speakers are born. See, many people say, "Wo to yaar, uska natural talent hai." Okay, it is natural to him. So is it just a natural thing, or can we coach ourselves to become good speakers? That is the question. Dwell yourself on this question. Before we continue, I would like all of us to do a small exercise. Right? Now, what do we want to achieve out of this webinar today, out of this session today? What is it that we hope to achieve? Why I'm asking this question is because I'll tell you a small story, right? A family go to a beach early in the morning, say Shivaji Park, Mumbai. Nice cool breeze blowing. There is the husband, there is a wife, and there are 4 tiny kids. They are playing at the edge of the, just where the waves stop, a little far for safety. And the father tells his children, "Bachalo, please go and get me some sand." The father tells his children, "Go and get me some sand." So one of the kids, a boy, he goes running, goes ahead, picks up a handful of sand and comes and gives it to his father. The next child goes running, again goes, grabs a fistful of sand and comes and gives it to his father. The third child, a small girl, goes running to the sand, sits down, scoops up the sand on a frock, catches a frock up like this, and comes and gives a frock full of sand to the father. The fourth child looks here and there. So there is this handicapped person doing some sand art there on the beach. And he has this small trolley-like thing which he uses to push himself. You know, those wooden square with those 4 small wheels. The child goes to him and says, "Uncle, can I borrow this for a minute?" Pulls the trolley, goes to the sand, puts a heap full, a mountain full of sand on the trolley, pulls it back and comes and gives it to the father. The question is, the father gave the same task to all 4 children, "Get me some sand." The resources available to all the children were the same. Yet, each child was able to achieve something different. My dear friends, what I'm going to speak today is going to be the same for all of you all. But believe me, depending upon how you all orient yourself to this webinar today, each one of you will take away something altogether different for himself or herself. So I want you to just take 30 seconds pause, close your eyes, and decide what is it that you wish to achieve from today's session. Just close your eyes for 30 seconds and orient yourself that from this webinar of public speaking, effective delivery of talks today, what is going to be your takeaway? What are you going to learn and what are you going to take away permanently for yourself? Okay, so thank you very much. Now that we all have oriented ourselves, so we are very clear that what we wish to achieve from today's session. So we go back to the question which we were asking ourselves, are speakers born or are they made? Now, if speakers were just born, we would not be here today, right? My friend Dr. Satish Rao, Dr. Gopal Rao, about whom I was talking about, I've changed the name for the sake of his personal privacy. After that incident which happened, he took it upon himself that I'm such a reputed person in my field, and this is what happened to me. He went and joined the public speaking classes at that time, Nazareth speaking classes, and went through the whole public speaking, 12-week session. And then he dabbled in public speaking. Slowly but gradually, his confidence grew. Today, my dear friends, that same Dr. Rao addresses medical conferences all over the world and addresses large gatherings in huge halls without even an inkling of fear or anxiety or nervousness. So you decide, my dear friends, is this a born talent? Is it a natural talent? Or is it learnable? It is very, 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 very much learnable. So with that positive note in mind, let us go ahead. So what is it that makes us so nervous? Why is it that speaking in front of people, see the same Dr. Rao, if he had to speak in front of a small group of patients, he would have been very comfortable and spoken and given all his knowledge. But many a times we have to speak in front of unknown audiences. We are nervous because we speak in front of unknown audiences. Many teachers, when they speak in front of the classes where they are normally teaching, they are quite okay, they are quite comfortable. But if they are asked to speak in front of an unknown audience, again, it's a different ball game altogether. Surprisingly, just to take a cue out of this, yesterday, I had posted the poster of this webinar, the brochure of this webinar on my Facebook page. And I received a very interesting comment from my friend, Dr. Michael Berry from USA. Dr. Michael Berry is a professor of international economics. He teaches in St. Mount University in USA. And he has commented that Krishna, I have been teaching since 30 years, but I'm still scared of public speaking. Now understand the weight of this comment. Here is a professor who has been in the teaching field since 30 years. Travels all over around the world, by the way, to take classes on economics. But he admits that he is still scared of public speaking. So why is this so? Let us not get so much into the why, because we have limited time, but just a brief understanding. How many of us are scared of this thing which is there in front of you, snakes? I'm sure most of us are, right? And this one looks especially menacing. For your kind information, 98 to 99% of snakes are absolutely harmless. It is only 1 to 2% of snakes which are poisonous or dangerous to human beings. 98%, my dear friends, 98 to 99% are harmless. Now, when we go in front of an audience to speak, they all appear to us like snakes. Whereas the real fact is, these are all harmless people. They are there to listen to you. The trick is to coach ourselves to being confident enough so that we are able to concentrate on the 98% who are harmless and be able to conquer or at least ignore the 1 to 2% that are poisonous, in the manner of speaking. So how are we going to go about a session today? First of all, why should you learn public speaking? Chalo theek hai, kabhi baat karna hai, if you have to speak anytime, you go, you speak. This dialogue in the movie Spider-Man comes to mind. What does Spider-Man's uncle say to him? My dear boy, with great power comes great responsibility. You understand that when you are speaking in front of an audience, the poor audience has no choice but to sit and listen to him. Of course, in some forums, they might just get up and leave, which is all the more insulting. But when you have taken up the responsibility of speaking in front of them, it becomes your responsibility to see to it that you do a good job and you provide them value for the time that they have spent. And that is why you have to learn the mantras of public speaking, practice it, implement it, and become good speakers for your audience. How are we going to go about the session today? Now, though the topic is effective delivery of talks, I'm going to spend some 10 to 15 minutes on preparation. Because preparation is the foundation for good delivery. If you have not prepared well, whatever tips I give you on delivery will not be effective. You will not have the confidence to implement the delivery. And therefore, we'll spend a little bit of time on implementation. Thereafter, we go on to delivery. And I'm going to give you a proper system. Okay, I'm going to give you a system for effective delivery of talks. What is the system we'll come to later. First, we concentrate on preparation. So preparation, the well-known line. Okay. So what is it that is required in your preparation for your talk? When you are going to speak on any topic, when you are interested in the task of delivering a talk, a lecture, so you have to prepare for the lecture, right? See, understand one thing, my dear friends. All of you, it is a varied audience of about 3,000 to 4,000 people, right? So some of you are, beginners just getting into your public speaking. Some of you are, teachers and academicians who are, who've been doing that since quite a number of years, but you want to improve. And some of you are experts who want to, increase your efficiency and expertise. So some things I'm addressing, presuming that most of the crowd is beginners. Yeah. The advice may vary from person to person, but basically the rules, the formulae remain the same for everybody. Whether you are an experienced speaker or whether you're a beginner, the rules remain the same. So when you are interested in the task of preparing a speech, what you have to do is, and I mean it when I say this, you have to live the talk. From the moment you know that you're going to speak on a topic on such and such day for so many hours, from that time onwards, your mind has to dwell on a continuous basis as to what it is you're going to do, what is it that you're going to put into your content of talks. You have to have a paper and a pen, a chit and a pen in your pocket. Because many times the ideas come, we feel, this I will include in my talk. And believe me, if you don't jot it down at right that moment, later on, there will be a situation where, try as you may, you will not be able to remember the point. Most of the time, not always. You might not be able to remember at all. What was that fantastic point I thought about? So ideas come, especially ideas come when you're traveling by a bus, by a train. Now, some people might think, are Mumbai local, we hardly have time to squeeze ourselves in and stand. Where do I jot on my points? But if you have a paper and a pen, when you get down from the train, you can jot down. Later on, you will not remember. So while traveling, ideas come. When the ideas come, jot down the idea, jot down the pointers there and then. The second place where ideas come, believe me, I'm serious, is this place. Ideas come. There is a free flow of ideas. Okay? When ideas come, at whatever time, at whatever place, don't think that I will develop this and write this systematically. Later, when the idea comes, jot it down there and then. Then you go about preparing your speech. Remember, never prepare your speech, never prepare your talk in a block format. Prepare it in form of chits. Separate parts as separate chits, right? Broadly speaking, your talk has to have three parts: the beginning, the middle, and the end. As far as the beginning is concerned, the idea of your beginning is to capture the attention of the audience. Your beginning has to be such that it captivates your audience immediately. Nobody has patience to wait till the end or your middle of your talk. I'll develop on this later. to decide whether you are going to be good. In the start, it is the impact that you create. So begin with something that catches them. For me, what works is a story. Something different. See, I could have just talked about Gopal, my friend, the story, right? But I said, I am going to tell you all a horror story today. Immediately, all of you all said, "Ye kya hai? What is this horror story?" Right? So start with something that captures, immediately grabs their attention. It could be, say, don't start with good morning, good morning. Chalo, can I hear a bigger good morning? Oh, wake up, wake up. Don't do this. Okay? Automatically do something that will wake them up. Start with a story. Start with connecting with them. Many a times what I do, I teach law, by the way. So sometimes, every time I do something different, but sometimes what I do is, when I go to the first class of my first year, I begin with something like, I don't start with, my name is Dr. Krishna Shetty. I'm going to be teaching you all law of contact, etc. So something different. I remember 20 years back, I was sitting right in this class at that place. And this handsome young professor, Professor Samir Tendulkar, walked into the class. And he said something which stuck with me forever. Now the audience is listening to you. Audience is listening to you. They want to hear the further part of the story. Begin with something interesting. If you're saying some statistics in the start, make it interesting. I was taking a lecture on offenses relating to women the other day. So I began with a little bit of statistics and I told the audience, do you all know that by the time my lecture ends today, it's a 1.5-hour lecture, and by the time my lecture ends today, 7 women in India are going to be raped. There are going to be at least 2 dowry deaths. 3 women are going to be murdered. There are going to be abductions or kidnapping of 14 women all over the country. Now the audience is listening to you. So begin with something which captures their attention immediately. The middle is meant for all the yarn. Of course, how to decorate it and how to make it interesting is another study altogether. Yeah, I will not go too much into preparation. The beginning and the end are most important. Of course, what you put in the middle is also important, but the beginning captures them. The end stays with them. It is like when you go to a wedding, there's a buffet. Okay. And what you remember most of the time is the dessert. Last ko gulab jamun, the ice cream, the rasmalai. So the end is your gulab jamun. Be sure to end with a very, very interesting note. Don't leave them with many people, any questions, and sometimes there are no questions. Don't do this mistake. So end with a very interesting thing. Again, I like to end with, an anecdote, a story, or, establishing. At the beginning, we had said we are going to do this and this and this. Now, after my talk, we say that this is what we have achieved. So fortifying that you have achieved what you wanted to in the talk. So you have to prepare in form of chits, in form of separate this. What happens is that in case you are stuck in the middle, okay, you won't get frozen if you have prepared it in a block format. You will just move on if you have prepared in form of different sections. Then how do you practice? Because practice. Once you prepare your talk, unless you practice well, you are going to fumble. You're not going to have the confidence. Now, people say you should practice in front of the mirror. Now, this doesn't work for me, right? It's very difficult to look at yourself in the mirror and observe what you're doing. So there are many techniques which have been developed today. I'll tell you briefly about them, especially with the advent of the mobile phone. Things have become a little easier. But you have to practice in a loud voice. Many a times, what we have prepared, some parts of it, we have cut, copied, paste from Google also, right? And we have borrowed things from here and there, and they are words written by other people, especially if it's quotes. Now, if you are, studying this in your mind, it becomes very different when you speak about it. So you have to practice in a loud voice, loud enough for you to hear what you're saying, so that your tongue gets the habit of speaking what is written. So sometimes when you read it out aloud, you understand that this is a paragraph where I'm going to fumble. It is not flowing with me easily. Then you have to rewrite that sentence in your own words. So when you write it down, you practice it out aloud. And what works most of the time, if you practice in front of live people, let it be any person who does not understand the topic, let it be your 80-year-old grandmother, let it best as friends. So if live people are listening to you and you have practiced in front of live people, it works best. Nowadays, what is recommended is you record yourself on your mobile and then you observe what you're speaking. So they say, you observe it in 3 ways. You record yourself. Once you observe yourself speaking without the audio. Second time, you only listen to the audio, don't look at the video. And the third time you look at, the whole package. So this is one of the recommended ways nowadays. If you have the technology, why not use it? So practice, right? When you practice, then when you speak in front of the audience, it is not the first time you're speaking, so it works better. And now I'm coming to delivery. I spoke a little bit about preparation. Actually, preparation is a topic in itself. It would require a talk of 2-3 hours in itself. So I have just given you a gist or a rushed idea of how you prepare, so that you know that before you come for your delivery of talk, what you have to do. Now we move on to the actual main topic of the day, that is the delivery. And as I said, for your delivery, I'm going to give you a system. You apply the system, half your troubles are taken care of. So what is the system? So in the system, each letter stands for a mantra. So S stands for something, Y stands for something, so on and so forth. So let us go about it rule by rule and see what it is that you can do for your talk to become effective and impressive. So the first S in the system stands for the state. The state in which you are when you go for your talk. Now let us do one small experiment. How many of us like small, cute little babies, little children? All of us, right? Cute bachas, everybody likes. Now I'm going to show you the pictures of some cute babies. Just silently observe the babies and see what is the effect the babies have on you. So first there is going to be a set of 4 babies. And then again, there is going to be a next set of 4 babies. So let us have the first 4 babies. This is baby number 1. So these are your first 4 babies. Now the next set of 4 babies. So did you notice the difference the first 4 images and the next 4 images had on you? Now all the 4 images in the previous slide were of cute little babies, right? So cute, so cuddly and beautiful babies. But the babies were in a sad mood. They were in a grumpy mood. They were in a drawn mood. They were, about to cry. And what effect it had on your cute babies? But they pulled you down. Your mood went down, right? And the next 4 babies, as soon as you see them, they're still on the screen. You feel nice, right? Now, when you go for your talk, you have to see to it that the state in which you are is like these 4 babies. Understand one thing, this is something that can be practiced and which can be perfected. we teachers, we have to go for many lectures. So we cannot decide that when I'm in a good mood, I'm going to go and take this lecture, or the lecture should only be at the time when I'm highly energetic and very happy. You can't do that. The lectures, the talks are when they are. Similarly, when you have to go and talk, you have to go and talk. It might be sometime you have fought with your best friend, or had a quarrel with your wife, or something bad has happened. But when you go for your talk, you have to actually practice bringing up your state. That aura with which you go into the room where you have to talk will make a big difference. So actually you have to practice. See, all of you, just now, right at this moment, take a deep breath and do something like this. Yeah, how does it feel? Did all of you do it? Actually do it. Okay, once again. So when you do this, right, you were in a bad mood, leave it behind and go for your talk. You have to actually practice exercise. When I do this session in front of a live audience with physically, people sitting in front of me, I actually make them do an exercise. You could try it at home. What you do is you write 4 meaningless lines, absolutely unconnected with each other. Lines which absolutely make no sense at all. The more meaningless, the better. So write 4 meaningless lines. Yeah, 4 short meaningless lines not connected with each other. And then you have to read these lines in the most excited manner possible. This is called the excitement exercise. Meaningless lines read with full energy, full enthusiasm. This is how practice bringing up your state, bringing up the beingness with which you go for your talk. And when you go for your talk, looking, yeah, like this. When you enter, you enter with that aura and you transmit that aura to your audience. So this is the state in which you go. This is the state with which you have to enter your class, enter the room where you have to enter the auditorium, enter the hall. Many a times, if it is possible, if you are going to a new place to talk, take the trouble of visiting that venue before and seeing. This is called casing the joint. Go and see the venue. Get acclimatized that place. See the hall. Stand on the podium. Imagine yourself standing there talking. Do it. See, if you take these extra efforts, you will be more effective. So go to the venue with a screw stuff straight. How you dress. See to it that you dress appropriately. If you are a girl, if you are very, very attractive, if you have a good figure, you have to actually wear clothing which will play down your beauty. When you're going for a party or for a function, you look your best, right? You wear something that will play up your beauty. When you go for a talk, you have to actually dress in a subtle manner so that you look pleasing, but you do not distract. Very, very important. The focus has to be on your talk. You have to look pleasing. You have to look, what is the word? Impressive. But you do not have to look distracting. For example, I always recommend that when you go for a talk, dress formally. Now, today I have worn a t-shirt, right? And I'm wearing a track down. Because it would look very odd that in a lockdown, when I'm speaking from home, I'm wearing a formal, shirt button down with a tie. It would look unnatural, right? So there is no point in doing something which is unnatural. So depending upon the situation, things change. But the less distracting your clothing, the more attention, the more focus is there on your talk. If you're wearing a t-shirt also, it has to be a t-shirt with nothing written on it. Or say some loud message written on your t-shirt. When you're speaking, some people are then intermittently getting distracted by what is written on your t-shirt. Don't do that. For men who are speaking, if you are wearing a shirt with a pocket, see to it that nothing is there in your shirt pocket. Sometimes people keep, their mobile phone on the shirt pocket, some loose change. There is a pen which is pulling down the shirt from one side, and when he's talking, he's moving, the change is jingling, jangling. I have stopped buying shirts with pockets. Recommending. You will get a habit within a few days. If you have a pocket, you might keep a chit inside, which shows through the shirt. Every small bit counts. It is the total package that you have to concentrate on. If you're a female, you're wearing an Indian dress, you're wearing a dupatta, especially a chiffon dupatta, see to it that you pin up. Otherwise, you're speaking and that dupatta is sliding, and people, when you're talking, they are, monitoring. Abhi gira. Don't let it. See to it that you have pinned up your dupatta, no tension. When you're speaking, you speak with your hands free. You don't have to, every now and then do this. These are all the small things which you have to take care of. See whether your dress is such that if there is a light back behind you, it won't create the, show-through effect. You have to take, because if you don't think of these things in advance, once you go to the stage, these things might not strike you, and there is something which is distracting the audience throughout your talk. So the state in which you go, respect the audience enough to see to it that you look presentable. See to it that you spruce up your mood. You go in an excited, as I said, try the excitement exercise which I talked to you about. Go to the class, go to the venue, go to the auditorium, go to the hall in a highly motivated, happy mood. Whatever was your state before the talk, leave it behind. Believe me, it can be practiced. I've been teaching since the last almost 30 years. And I have been practicing this since the last 30 years. To each and every class that I go, when I enter, I'm in the same mood, whatsoever my mood might be before I enter the class. Be like these first 4 babies when you go into the class. When you enter, with a happy mood, something like this, all the audience will automatically catch on to that mood. So the S in the system, the first S stands for state. You are responsible for the state in which you enter the class. You are responsible for the state which you take with you in the class. The Y in the system stands for yourself. Remember, my dear friends, you have to be yourself. Public speaking is something that can be learned. It is coachable. You can, learn it. You can become an expert. But you can take inspiration from others. You cannot copy others. You have to develop your own style. I have had several mentors. Today, I speak confidently in front of people. It was not always so. In the beginning, and sometimes even now, at the start, we feel nervous. When you are a beginner, you'll feel very, very nervous. You coach yourself, you get inspired by other people's techniques, but then you develop your own style. You cannot copy paste the style. My mentors, when I was in early college, I had a Professor Shailajan, who mentored me in my initial, days of speaking for my elocutions and debates and all. He had a totally different style. And then later on, when I came to law college, I had several mentors. We had a public speaking class. One of my great mentors was Professor Anup Mehta. And then my guru, Advocate M.K. Joshi. Now, these are people with totally different styles. Totally different style. Their way of speaking is completely different from the way I speak, but they are my gurus. I have taken inspiration from them. I have learned a lot from them, but I have developed my own style in their own way. They are very, very effective. In my way, I am effective. My guru N.K. Joshi used to sit on the chair and deliver the whole talk in a subtle tone. And people used to just sit enthralled and listen to him. That was his style. So you have to take all these tricks, a bag of tricks which I'm offering you, coach yourself, and then develop your own style. If you try to imitate someone else's style, believe me, many a times there is possibility you might fall flat on a face, especially if you are trying to use humor when you don't have the art of using humor. Using humor in your speech is a double-edged weapon. If it sails through, it's good. But you know, there's a Hindi word, pachka. So there is a big possibility ki pachka ho jayega. So if you are good at humor, use humor. But it doesn't mean that to be a good speaker, you have to be a humorous speaker. I know several people who are magnificent speakers, they don't use an inkling of humor in their whole talk. So develop your own style, be yourself. If you try to be somebody else, it will not work. Somewhere it is going to fall flat. Be yourself, develop your own style, and then develop gradually that style will stick, your own style. Of course, inspiration can be taken from everywhere. So be yourself. So S stands for the state in which you take yourself to the room or which you carry into the room. Yeah, which includes everything from the way you dress, from the way you look, from your mood, how you go, right? Y stands for be yourself. Don't try to be somebody else. The third S, now we come to the main parts. The third S in the system. Okay, so Bruce Lee says always be yourself and have faith in yourself and not go out and look for a successful personality and try to duplicate it. Yeah, so whatever. So S, the first S for state, the second S is the Y is for yourself. The third S stands for your start and your stance at your start. Okay, so it is the stance that you take or the way you start. Now this is very, very important, very, very interesting. Please listen. Right. So how you start is very, very important. Right. I will come to the stance later. How you start is very, very important for the simple reason. I'll tell you something. So this is Mark Bowden. Okay, he's one of the renowned persons whose book on body language are bestsellers throughout the world. So Mark Bowden, in his studies, has said that when you go for a talk, within the first 30 to 40 seconds, the audience decide whether they like you or not. Scary, no? Huh? Within the first 30 to 40 seconds, the audience already decide whether they like you or not. So what you do at the very beginning when you walk in is important. At the very beginning, you have to establish that you mean business. You walk in, of course, as I said in the beginning, the state, you have entered with an energetic aura. Yeah, you walk in. Now, when you walk in, never make the mistake of starting directly. Some people, I've seen very often, as soon as their names are announced, right? They're sitting here, they get up, and while they're getting up in motion only, they start speaking. They don't even wait till they reach the, stadium. Some people reach the stadium, they are in motion and they start. Don't do it. Don't do it. First, establish your territory. Go there. There are many idiosyncrasies which I do when I go for my lectures before starting. Right? See, if you see shows in National Geographic, when they talk about wild animals, especially lions. So there is the pride of lions, and there is alpha male, yeah, who is the leader of the pride. So what the alpha male does is he marks his territory. Now, how lions do it is they urinate on the boundary of their territory, so that the urine of the alpha lion has a distinct smell. So when other lions from other prides enter, they know the key, they cannot go. This is their territory, right? So this is called marking the territory. Now, I'm not saying that you have to go and do susu where you have to go and speak, yeah. But what we are talking about is marking your territory. How you do it? When I go to the class, what I do is different classes, different ways. Okay, but I never start directly. If there is a table and a chair, I will slightly adjust the table. I'll move the chair this side, right? It is not necessary that I should move the table. It is not necessary that I should move the chair. But when I go and do those things, yeah, now this should not be nervous gestures, right? Author, I replace the chair, replace the chair. You are giving a sense that this guy knows what he's doing. Maybe the students are sitting spread out. So you say, if it is a lecture, right? You say, okay, can I have the one sitting towards the corner? Can I shift this side? Okay, can we sit in a cluster? Now you are giving a signal to the audience that, boss, this guy knows his business, right? So do certain things to establish your territory. Wait, pause, have a nice smile on your face, and look at the audience. Scan through the audience. Look at every section. Pick up one person from the one section and give a nice pleasant smile, right? And then you start. So you don't start directly. You go there, you establish your territory, right? Sometimes, you have to take charge. When I talk about stance, I'll tell you, right? So you go there, you adjust things according to your liking. You stand, you pause, you will give a nice smile, look at different sections of the audience, and then you start. See, all this is very, very important. See, the way you stand, right? When you're speaking now, the word speaking itself includes the word king. So when you are there, you are the king. These are your whatever time, 1 hour, 2 hours. This is your 1 hour. You're the king in that 1 hour. So take the prime position, take the pole position. Don't go and stand, at the side and start. The best possible place, center, front, stand with a good posture, smile, fan the audience, then you start speaking. All this is important. There was a study by one person called Albert Mehrman. His study is considered to be one of the best studies in the world on the effectiveness of public speaking, effectiveness of delivery of talks. So you will be surprised. So the studies have shown, his study says, so there are three things to a talk. Okay, there are three things to the delivery of a talk. Number one is your content, correct? What is it that you are speaking? The content of your talks. Number two is your body language, correct? How you move, how you stand, what are your gestures, how you look at people. And number three is your voice, okay? The tone of your voice, the pitch of your voice, the volume. So he made a studies what is it that contributes to the effectiveness of your talks. So what do you think if you were to allot percentages? Yeah, in your minds, just think it. If you were to allot percentages, how much percentage would content take in the effectiveness of your talk? How much percentage would body language take? How much percentage would your voice, voice quality, the tone take? You will be surprised, the studies, and believe me, this is recognized as one of the best studies on public speaking in the world, most recognized, right? You could Google it. So the study has shown that the rule is 7-38-55. Now, what is the 7-38-55 rule? 7%, 38%, and 55% contribution to the effectiveness of your talk. What contributes? Now, can you guess which is 55%? What 55% contribution to the effectiveness? The content, right? The content, the words spoken, contribute only 7% to the effectiveness of your talk. Very difficult to digest. The content of your talk contributes only 7% to the effectiveness of your talk. The tone of your voice, the pitch, the voice modulation, the voice quality, the volume contributes 38%. And the body language contributes 55% to the effectiveness of your talk. Amazing, astonishing figures. Something which you have to dwell on and then you have to understand. 55% of your effectiveness depends upon your body language. 38% depends upon the tone of your voice, the quality of your voice, the voice quality, whatever you call it. 7% is your content. Absolutely astonishing figures. Now understand, even if this is not 100% believable, even if you change it a little bit here and there, at least the weightage you can understand. Now, I am not saying, understand, I am not saying that your content is not important. If you do not have good content, you would not be in that position to go and talk that talk. So because you have the content, many a times, not always true, you have reached there, right? So content is important. Content is the icing on the cake. But the main part is your body language, is the tone of your voice. Now, how do you stand? Okay. So maybe I will just stop the screen share for a moment. Yeah. So how do you stand? So is this on speaker view? Okay. So now I don't know whether this works properly. Right. So if this is where you are, so you stand, erect. Now some people have the tendency to cross your hands. Some people stand like this, maybe even like this. The best recommended posture is your hands have to be here, this way or this way, just below your chest. You don't have to intertwine your fingers like this, right? So it has to be either like this or like this. Because when you speak, then your hands have to flow freely, your gestures have to come out. So you have to stand with your legs slightly spaced apart. Ideal posture is this. Again, I show you. The hands have to be either like this or like this. So this is wrong because then sometimes it becomes difficult to come out. So either this or this, and then when you talk, the gesture slow. So you go, you take a central position like the king, stand there, pause, look at people, and you start. Right? You start with whatever content you have prepared. I'll just go back to my screen share. Okay. So this is a little bit difficult to do online, but I thought that maybe I should show. When we have live classes on the same topic, we actually make people come and do some demos. So this is the recommended world recognized posture. Standing straight, legs slightly apart, hands either like this or like this. You have to follow this, and later on see, as and when you practice and you become an established speaker, all these things will come naturally. But initially you have to make an effort. Okay, it might be uncomfortable in the beginning, but learning is always uncomfortable. Learning something new, trying something new is always uncomfortable. Even if it is uncomfortable, you have to try this. No other posture, no folded hands, no. If possible, don't sit and talk. There are effective speakers, many of them. I gave you the example of MK Joshi, my guru. He used to sit and speak. Some effective speakers carry off speaking while sitting on a chair throughout, but I do not recommend it. As far as possible, do not sit and speak. Stand throughout your talk and speak, right? And your hands have to move out in gestures when you speak. Now your gestures have to be supporting, not distracting. So body language, very, very important. It begins with what state you enter the class, the dressing, etc., that you concentrate upon, all contribute, and the way you carry yourself. Okay, no defensive postures. You give a very, very wrong signal to your audience. So you go there, you wait, you pan the audience, you give a nice smile, and then you start speaking. When you speak, you begin with whatever beginning we decided, some nice anecdote, something which will catch the audience, and then you continue. So this is the stance and the start. The third important thing in your system, right? So we have gone to the third element in our system. The first element was the state. The second element was you have to be yourself. The third element was the stance or the start. The fourth element, very, 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 very important, is what I call the tonality. The 38% factor. 55%, yeah, Albert Merben's study. Out of all your effectiveness, 55% is contributed by a body language. 38% is your voice, that is the tonality. I call it tonality. Now, tonality means everything. The pitch, the tone of your voice, the volume, the speed. You know, there are studies conducted on the speed on which you talk. They are called WPM, words per minute. Okay, so the same paragraph or same sentences have been run through at different speeds, and they have arrived at the proper speed in which, you know, the audience receives or is receptive to what you talk. So the ideal is 160 to 180 words per minute. So you could try it. You talk in your normal speed, you record it, and then you see in one word how many minutes, in 1 minute, how many words you speak. So if it is more than 180 words, you are too fast. If it is less than 160, you are too slow. So ideal is something between 160 to 180 minutes, just for you to get a rough idea whether you speak too fast or whether you speak too slow. You can actually try recording yourself and then see. So not too fast, not too slow, but the main thing is the voice modulation. You can actually capture your audience with your voice modulation. Correct? See, that day, after the lockdown had just started 4-5 days back, 4-5 days into the lockdown, you know, I just ventured out into the road to get some essentials. And when I went out to the gate, there was this BST bus which was red in color. So you understand what I did? I spoke something absolutely meaningless. There was a BST bus which was red in color, but because I dropped my voice, people are listening, something is coming. Okay? Hey. Right. So according to me, that is one of the best demonstration of tonality, which you can see. It is a complete package of what requires to be done in proper speaking. Okay, where I told you that when you enter to speak, now it is not that Shah Rukh Khan, Coach Kabir Khan, whatever he was in the movie, yeah, he did not know what he intended to go and speak there. He could have gone and just started, right? You notice the way he goes inside, takes the prime position in the rooms and stands. He gives a long pregnant pause. He doesn't start speaking immediately. He waits, he stands, he pans the audience, he looks at everybody. Now everybody's attention is riveted to him. Because it's a sporting competition, his expression is intense. It's not a smiling of, that is not the call of the day there. So in intense expression, he waits, he stands, he pauses, he looks at everybody, and then he starts. Now he starts at a very slow pitch, and then where it is required, he says, that punch is there. That voice ka going up and down, utar chadav, it is called in Hindi, is the most important thing for your talk. If you talk in a baritone, one same pace throughout your talk, you will not, most of the time the audience will lose their interest. So tonality, the pitch of your voice, your volume. Many times our voices, see, you cannot do anything about the way your voice is, okay? Of course, there are exercises for that. Yeah, there are vocal cord exercises also. You can Google it. Yeah, there is something which is known as the 2-minute vocal warm-up. Yeah, you Google it. You can try doing that to keep your vocal cords healthy. Yeah, what I do is I do the Om recitation every day morning 8 to 10 times. If you do it properly, 8 to 10 times is enough. This keeps your vocal cords healthy. Just like the body needs exercise, if you are in a profession where you need to talk and talk and talk, you have to see to it that you maintain your vocal cords also. So that apart, when you speak, the pitch of your voice, the tone of your voice, the voice modulation, one of the most important things for the effectiveness of your talks. If you speak in one tone, you'll put your audience to sleep. So tonality is the T of the system. So E is eye contact. Yeah. So what all we finished? S was straight. Y is yourself. S was the stance and the start. T was the tonality. The next letter E is by far the single most important weapon in your public speaking toolbox. What did I say? The single most important weapon. If you master the art of eye contact, your work is half done. Work is half done. Okay. Now, eye contact. There is a lot of difference between eye contact and looking at your audience. If you just frivolously look at your audience, you will not capture them. Like this couple is seeing, you have to look into the eyes. Okay, you have to look into the eyes of your audience. You have to look at. You don't have to look at them. You have to be with them. You have to maintain eye contact. Understand one thing. Whether you are speaking to an audience of 5 people, 50 people, 5,000 people, the rules of the game remain absolutely the same. If you are going for an interview, for a job interview where there is a panel of just 3 people, all the rules remain the same. Little bit tweaking here and there. Whether you're speaking in front of a class of 50 students or where you are addressing a political rally where there are 5,000 people. Yeah, the rules of the game remain the same. So the eye contact is very, 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 very important. See, in an online lecture, it becomes very difficult for me because I can see myself on the screen. So the tendency is where I look at the screen. So when I look at the screen, you see my side face. Now I have to consciously look at the camera and talk. Now it's an inanimate object, so it becomes very difficult to continuously look at the camera and talk. But you have to do that because in this forum, this is all what that is possible. So people have to feel that you look. Now, when you are in front of a live audience, you have to maintain eye contact. Now you divide the audience into sections, right? And you have to see to it that you cover each section, at least few people in each section. The advantage is, even if it is a crowd of 50 people, 500 people, if you're authentically looking at someone, yeah, so if I'm authentically looking at you, I'm actually looking at all the 50 or 500 people sitting there. But the trick is to look into their eyes, to be with them. Understand one thing, there is a very, very big mistake which people do. People feel that if you look at people, you will become nervous and you'll forget. The beginners I'm talking about. Yeah, beginners and many people who are advanced speakers also. But the opposite is true. When you look at people, they become your friend. Yeah. When I'm looking at you and talking with you, you become my friend. And there is an inbuilt desire that the person speaking to me should succeed. Especially when you forget, if you're a beginner and in between your talk, you're stuck. Now your tendency is to look up, to look here and there. Don't do that. It is something which will require a lot of practice. But if you practice and perfect it, it is the best thing you can do to yourself. So even when you forget, when you are looking at people and trying to recollect, there is this group dynamics which wants you to remember. If you have forgotten and you're looking up, people are thinking, "Arey yaar, bhul gaya. Yeah, he forgot. Gone. Now he's going to get stuck." But if you're looking at them, people are saying, "Yeah, now he will remember. Now he'll remember." Look at people. Look into people's eyes. The more into people's eyes that you look, the more your nervousness will reduce. I invariably do this exercise with my live audience. I pick up the most nervous person, I bring them live in front of the audience and do this exercise of eye contact with them, which proves that eye contact brings down your nervousness. Your nervousness disappears. I said it is a weapon. Eye contact, what is the word I use? Weapon. Suppose you are speaking to a class of say 80 to 90 students, yeah, or to an audience of 200 people in a hall, in an auditorium. Now there are two people sitting out there who are continuously talking, chit-chatting. Now you are talking. You are looking into people's eyes and talking. Yeah, whatever is the topic. So eye contact is the most. I'm just giving you a demo, okay? Now, so don't feel this is a disjointed sentence. So I'm speaking. Eye contact is the single most important in your armory of public speaking. If you master the art of eye contact, now there those two people are there who are talking among self and irritating. Okay. So if you master the eye, then when you come to them, you continue speaking, you give them a cold stare, and then you continue. Automatically, those two people who are talking will settle down, because now the other 198 people who are sitting in the audience are looking at them. Because when you look, all of them are your friends, and then you give them this cold stare. So eye contact is a weapon. You make people your friends by registering authentic eye contact with them. Look at them, look into their eyes, make them your friends and talk. This is something which you have to practice. And in every section, in a class, when we take lectures, if it is a lecture for 2 to 3 hours, I see to it that there is not even a single student that I have missed out for, and not even looked at even once. I doubt it will happen. Very, very difficult to do in a large audience, but then you have to break them into sections. Then in each section, whenever you're looking at one person, authentic. See, if you frivolously look at the audience and talk without eye contact, the audience senses it. वो बात नहीं बनती, yeah, in Hindi. So you will not get that effect. Whether it is an audience of 500, 5,000, as I said, whichever person you're looking at and talking, look into that person's eyes, be with that person, talk to that person, move on to another person, talk to that person. When you're speaking to 500 people, also the person you are looking at is the person you are individually talking to. Automatically, you're individually talking to all the 500 people in the audience. Try it out. 100% it works. Okay, you're not talking at people, you're talking to people. 500 people, but I'm speaking to each one individually. Okay, 50 people, I'm speaking to each one individually. When you're talking to him, talk to him. When you're talking to her, talk to her. When I'm talking to you, I'm talking to you. Automatically, you capture the audience. Automatically, the audience is listening to you because you're conversing with them, you're talking to them, you're being with them, you're not talking at them, you're not giving a speech. Okay, so eye contact. So system, where were we? S for state, Y for yourself. S for stance and start. T for tonality. E for eye contact. And the last M is movement. How much do you move? How much do you move around? Now this depends totally on the length of your talk. If it is a short talk, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, don't move, stand at one place, deliver your talk. At the most, you move your head and your gestures come out. The longer the duration of the talk, the more you are free to move about a little. Now, it does not have to be fidgety movements, but you can change your positions, wait in that position, talk a little, again change. The longer the duration of your talk. So when we talk in lectures of 3 to 4 to 5 hours or seminars, so we actually move into the audience also. We actually move around the class. Yeah, because now that is a seminar where we have to speak for 3 hours to 6 hours to 9 hours. Shorter the talk, lesser the movement. Then your gestures. Stand in one place, only turn your head, gestures. Okay. If it is a long talk, you can move about a little, but the more you move, if you move in a fidgety manner, you will distract. But if it is a very long talk, now I know people, effective speakers who give hours of talk standing at one place. If you have seen T. Rangaraj and Mathria, one of the best speakers I've seen. Okay, he comes and stands in one spot, delivers his 3-hour address from that one spot, and enthralls the audience. Right? But if it is a longer talk, you're allowed to move, but don't move about in such a way that you distract. Your movement has to be of your hands. Your movement has to be of your head. But if you are moving around, there has to be a system to your movement. It does not have to be fidgety and erratic. Yes. So that is about movement. So this is the system. Yeah. S for stance. It is the aura which you take to the class. Be excited, be happy, and make the whole room happy with your aura. Be yourself, develop your own style. Don't copy others, take inspiration from others, but don't copy them. Have a good stance. You're the king. This is public speaking. You're the king. Take them prime position, stand erect, hands below your first button, and start after the pause, after you give a nice, pleasant expression. Yeah. See the tone of your voice modulation, your tone, your pitch. E, your eye contact, and M, the movement. If you implement this system into your talks, there is no doubt that you are going to be an effective speaker. My dear friends, if you implement all this, there is 100% guarantee that you are going to improve and you are going to be very, very effective speakers. So I have given you the system for effective delivery of talks. Having given you this system, I would like to end with a small story. Thereafter, I'll take question and answers for a few minutes. So in this village in China, now saying China, it's like a bad word, I understand, but the story is of China, so village in China. Okay, so in this village in China, so not Wuhan, yeah, some other place. So in this village in China, there was this wise old man. Yeah, this old man knew the answers to all the questions which any person. So anybody had any problem, anybody had any question, they used to go to this old man and they used to ask him, and he used to give them the right answer. No two views about it. The old man always had an answer to everything. Now there were these two mischievous young boys in the village, and they were very irritated. How come this uncle, this old man, this Buddha, he knows the answer to any Tom, Dick, and Harry question that anybody asks? We will prove him wrong once. We will go and ask him a question to which he will give whatever answer, it will be wrong. So the old man, this nice village with all greeneries, there is a hillock, there is a hill, and the old man always sits on top of the hill meditating below a tree, and people go to him, they ask him whatever questions, in a calm way, he gives the answer, people go back. Now these two young children, they decide upon a plan to prove that the old man can't answer everything rightly. So they hit upon an idea. So in the village, there are fields, and in the field there are butterflies. These small, tiny, little yellow butterflies which are there. So these small little yellow butterflies are seen flying around. So the two boys decide, let us catch one butterfly, let us hold it in the cup of our hands, and let us go and ask the wise man. Yeah, the old man. Wise man, we have a butterfly in our hands. Is it dead or is it alive? So if he says it is dead, we'll open our hand and the butterfly will fly away. He will be wrong. If he says it is alive, while opening a hand, we'll just press it together. The butterfly is crushed and it is dead, and he is wrong. So if he says it is dead, we open our hand, the butterfly flies away. He is wrong. If he says it is alive, we crush the butterfly and open he is wrong. So very excited with this idea, they catch hold of a tiny little butterfly, put it in the cup of the hand, and they run to the wise man and they say, wise man, we have a butterfly in our hands. Is it dead or is it alive? The wise man looks at them coolly and says, children, it is all in your hands. So my dear friends, I have given you all this system. Okay, there are many mantras. Whether you all improve as public speakers, whether you all become effective speakers or not, it is totally dependent on you. The more you implement these mantras, the more you implement these suggestions in your talks, you will improve. If you listen to this talk and tomorrow you don't go and implement, if you don't do the practice part, if you don't do the state part, if you don't see to it that before every talk you are excited, if you consciously don't work on the tone of your voice, if you consciously see to it that you are not sitting and talking, you're standing erect, you're standing in an impressive position, using your gestures, doing the eye contact, if you implement, you will get results. So it is all in your hands. Thank you very much. Shalu, I can take a few questions if you permit me.
So we'll take 3 to 4 questions, and then anyone has questions, you can post in comment box. Sir will reply you there.
Okay, I will, or I could even email. We have all their emails, so I could individually email all the questions which I feel were not answered in the talks. So 3 to 4 questions you can pose to me, and I will try and answer. But before we to go to the question and answer session, we are having one more interesting webinar. I have seen at UKS we try to give all webinars which will actually be practically useful to you all. So in the COVID scenario, jobs are going to go for a toss, and especially students who are looking out for jobs, they are going to find it very tough, and interviews are going to be more and more now online and virtual interviews. So we have a very, very interesting webinar coming up on the 6th of June, which is interestingly titled as Crazy Tips to Crack Virtual Interviews by a very, very interesting speaker, Mr. Rajiv Jain. So if you are interested in this, I'm sure you all will be interested in it. Be sure to log on. So I'll take questions, Shalu. Yeah.
Yes, sir. So first question for today is, sir, some people in audience purposefully try to distract the speaker. How can we handle such situations?
I think to some extent I have answered that. See, there is no one answer to various situations. As you become experienced, you learn to handle your audience. But if you master the art of eye contact, I just demonstrated to you. Two people are talking. Yeah. So I doubt. Now, of course, you're a speaker. You're in an authoritative position, right? Now, if you're authentically looking at your audience and speaking, if the people who are distracting you, if you give them a cold stare and you pause, you stop talking, I'm sure they are not shameless enough to continue. If they are shameless enough to continue, you can ask them to leave the room. But that situation, I guarantee you, will not come. You just look at them and you don't even have to stop speaking. You have to just decrease the rate of your speaking. Those people will automatically come and check. This is my experience of the last 30 years of speaking. Yes.
The next question is, sir, while at stage, sometimes you get fumbled and we blank down. What do you suggest for this? I normally make points and carry along with me, but sometimes after preparing also I get fumbled.
Okay. So this, for beginners, I have a very good idea for this, right? You see, have you seen cars? Cars have 4 wheels, and you have a stepney tire, correct? Now the stepney tire is, agar gaadi puncture hua to, if one of the tire gets punctured, yeah, so you have to put the stepney and the car goes along. So when you prepare your speech, you have to prepare a stepney. Now, what is a stepney? It is one meaningless sentence connected to your topic. Now, understand, see, the first thing is, uh, if you have prepared your speech in parts, if no, you have to prepare your speech in parts, then if you fumble or you become blanked out and you get frozen and you can't remember for nuts what is happening, okay? If you have prepared in a block format, you're stumped. That is why preparing different individual parts, when you practice, you have to practice the parts individually, not as a speech. That is step number one, which begins at the time of practice. Now, at the time of practice, you have to prepare one sentence which is connected to your talk, but which is meaningless, and that you have to by heart. Okay. Now, suppose I'm talking about effective delivery of speeches. Okay. So now this sentence is absolutely meaningless, but connected to the topic. Yeah, meaningless means it means everything and it doesn't mean anything. So, example. So, effective delivery is the most important part of your public speaking technique. I say a sentence, you prepare. Yeah. Now you're talking. Yeah. You're talking, you spoke one part and suddenly you become blank. Now, when you become blank, there are two very important mantras. The first very important mantra, which I already spoke about, is eye contact. Practice it. I guarantee you that if when you forget, if you leave the eye contact of the audience, you will never remember again. You will never remember again, because you don't look at audience. Everybody feel, "Arey, bhul gaya," and that whole group dynamics contributes to your nervousness. When you forget, you start looking at people and then keeping your mind working. Now, when you look at people, and at that time you don't have to stop talking, you have to stay, you have to invoke that stepney line, that meaningless line which you have prepared and batted. Now, suppose I'm going through my talk, system, whatever, and I have completely forgotten. Now, my stepney line was what? Um, Effective delivery is the most important part of your public speaking. Okay. Now, when I've forgotten, I'm not keeping quiet. That stepney line which I've prepared and which I have biated to death, I was speaking, I forgot. I'm looking at people and I'm nervously, mechanically saying that line. Remember, public speaking, effective delivery is the most important part of your public speaking. Now, when I'm continuing speaking, that line, that stepney line which I had, and at the same time, I'm looking at people, I guarantee you, you will remember the next part. Guarantee. I have taught this to hundreds of students throughout my career, and I repeatedly get feedback that, sir, it works. Maybe one or two times it will take practice, but always keep one or two stepney lines ready with you. See, who knows what you have prepared? Nobody knows what you have prepared. You know what you have prepared. Now that line suddenly appears out of place. अरे अभी कुछ बोल रहा था, अभी suddenly क्या बीच में line बोल रहा है? Sorry, I'm talking in Hindi. You are speaking something and suddenly he's speaking, but what you have prepared, you know, others don't know. It might sound out of place, but it is much better than standing there looking blank. People will sense it. This guy forgot, but still you're keeping talking, you're looking at people, you will automatically remember. So when you prepare, first of all, prepare in parts, compartments, right? Don't prepare as one speech. Prepare this stepney line, which when you forget, you will invoke and keep talking and keep looking at people. Automatically, you will remember some part